Has anybody ever said to you, the rich just keep getting richer? Does a part of you die every time you hear that? If you've ever said that to someone, this might not be the podcast for you today. Welcome to Kingdom Speak with Pastor Daniel McKillop. So I read on the internet, the art is not in making money, but keeping it.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
So you have the slippery fingers that just can't hold on to it.
Yeah. Do you remember, I won't use his name, but you'll know who it is that I'm referring to. Brother that's now deceased that used to be a member of our church. And he was pretty, just a pretty simple, he led a pretty simple life.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole world view of handling finances was summed up in this. It's not complicated. You just spend less than you make.
Yeah. It's actually a decent lot.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think that's where Dave Ramsey got the idea.
There's this deal. I don't know why we're talking about this right now in preparation, but have you ever thought about the logic of, so if there was a financial reset, so if we went across the world and just flattened out all the bank accounts, so you take Jeff Bezos and these dudes that, they can't even spend their money, right? Because they've worked for it.
What a problem to have. Yeah.
But if we reset that,
Sure.
I expect I would get a substantial raise, I would hope, in my bank account.
Is this a public request?
Yeah, What do? You post your cash app so people can just send you cash. Anyways, If they reset that, how long would it take before Jeff Bezos was at the top of the pack again?
Yeah. It wouldn't take very long. The same qualities that got him there the first time would probably.
And Joe Public, who burns up his credit cards because he swipes them so many times, how long before he would be right at the bottom of the pack again?
Well, how many times have you seen someone, they win the lotto?
Oh, it just ruins them.
And I mean, they just live like a king and die a pauper.
Yeah.
It's.
And then you tell somebody they won the lotto, and they're like, they won the lotto?
Yeah, exactly.
You would never know.
Yeah, the only thing that fluctuates more than their bank account during that few months that is their friend list. It just kind of goes way up and then back down.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Buddy, old pal.
So yeah, the rich keep getting richer. Everybody seems to, throw shade at anybody that seems successful. But we overlook probably one of the biggest things about them, which is that they probably pay attention to how they spend, and they kind of look at what they're doing in their own life.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole COVID crisis has, I'm sure that business leaders, church leaders alike, when this all started unraveling at the beginning, I mean, we didn't even have church for months. So everybody wonders at that moment, how is it going to affect the bottom line?
Well, some people think about that.
Yeah. I read a statement the other day that said that 65%, I think, of the restaurants in New York City, they'll never open up again.
Wow. Ouch.
So I don't think it's I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that this crisis has affected those that don't watch the bottom line like they should. Mm-hmm. But our beloved leader, did you hear him the other day as he was trying to defend his very liberal throne speech, where they're just throwing money away? For all of our Canadian listeners, it's known as the CERB. Mm-hmm. What does that even stand for? What is it?
Producer Randy, help us out here.
Yeah. What?
Canadian Emergency. What is it? CERB, right?
CERB. Anyway, there's people.
Yeah, the Canadian Emergency Response
Emergency Response. We got to get him a mic.
Benefit.
You think he could handle a mic?
As long as I continue to hold the mute buttons, I'm comfortable with that.
Is there enough room in our bottom line to get producer Randy a
Well,
mic?
Pastor, we would have to save up for that.
Okay, so he steps to the mic, and they start pushing back, saying, "How are we going to pay for all of this stuff?" I mean, they've been giving these CERB payments to, and I'm sure that every country alike is reeling from this.
They're giving money to everybody.
You can be in jail and be getting a CERB payment. People on income assistance are getting. You're not even working. You don't have a job, meaning that you never lost anything. Why are you needing an incentive? And they're just writing checks. And so one of the leaders of the opposition was pushing back against that. And our beloved Trudeau's response to that was, "Oh, it's a great time to be giving away money that you don't have because the interest rates are so good." It's like,
so let's take that logic on a trip.
Kidding me? So I can give something away that I don't have because the interest rates are so good.
Yeah, I just bought an extra house because the interest rate was right.
That's yeah.
So let me ask you this. Why you are the executive director of this podcast?
Oh, did I get a promotion?
Well, your name's on the title. I haven't changed that yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Why do you want to talk about this right now? Can't we talk about like end time revival?
Jesus is coming, which he is, but you know this is a very poor financial strategy. If your escape from the financial mess that you're in is that Jesus is coming, you bet. Yeah.
We're gonna need to hear something else besides that.
Yeah. You know, I've said it tongue in cheek, and then the Word of God took me behind the proverbial woodshed. I've mentioned this, that, you know, if someone could let us know, if we could get a definitive divine statement release from heaven's press secretary, letting us know that Jesus was coming in, 2023 or whenever. We just go borrow the money for our new church and build it. And,
live it up.
Oh, man. You should see the new church buses we'd have. Wow.
The FWC chopper.
Yeah, exactly. And then just let everybody else deal with it when we're raptured away.
Yeah.
That's really not a good approach. At least the Word of God doesn't think so.
So if we're going to be true Christians, we have to be stewards. That's what you're saying.
We do. And so why would we dedicate a podcast to this? Why would we talk about this when we really do believe that these are the end times? I think we can find this precedent established in the Word of God where Jesus is teaching through, Matthew 23, 24, 25.
Those end time segments.
Yeah,
right?
those apocalyptic messages.
So if you're on your way to the shopping mall right now, you might want to shove the clutch and pull over and just listen to this before you go nuts.
Yeah, with the MasterCard. Yeah, you better.
Pastor Daniel McKillop putting the master in MasterCard.
Yeah, exactly. So, Jesus is teaching, and he is addressing everything from hypocritical Pharisees who are all about being served rather than serving, to talking about Jerusalem, Jerusalem. How oft I would have gathered you as a hen gathers her chicks, but you would not. Now your house is left unto you desolate. These are huge. They're massive. The message is short, but it's deep.
These are those harbingers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not one stone's going to be left
Mm-hmm.
upon another. And he goes through this and he starts highlighting what are the signs of your coming. You know, the disciples are asking this.
Basically 2020 is what the signs are.
You really think that? you think this just maybe could be?
I've made a deal with myself. I'm not going to ask, can it get any worse?
Oh, don't.
I'm not going to. I've asked that a couple times in 2020. Wait, we're into October now. October, November, December. I just can't imagine what's
and are you the one that's holding on thinking that New Year's Eve is going to like be the switch? That when we flip it, it all goes back to,
I don't know.
Dare we say normal?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows what normal is right
Who
now?
knows?
Jesus is going through this with his disciples. And he says there's going to be rumors of wars, famines, pestilence, earthquakes, nation rising against nation. All of these are these indicators.
COVID-19.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you,
We'll just skip right over that.
do you want to like blow right now?
I've wanted to
Wind
patch,
of God.
I've wanted to patch that in. I just haven't got to it yet.
If you've not experienced that, you need to see Kenneth Copeland take care of COVID-19.
I would hate to have seen it had he not taken care of it way back in March or April, whenever he did.
He blew it right into that senior's home in Moncton. Yeah, 17 new cases. Yeah. Here's one that even the most self-confessed, non-studious theological person amongst us would go. Just reading the newspaper kind of is indicator. But here's another indicator that we don't talk a lot about, and that is offense. Offenses will come, and that's part of it. Have we ever seen a day when people can be so easily offended?
Their skin is so thin.
All right, this is going to be good.
I don't even know how their organs are staying inside their body.
Protruding. It is.
You
you can offend people by what you don't say now.
You can see right through them.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's an indicator.
And man, the next one of love waxing cold, how many haters are out there right now?
Yeah.
Just go on social media and read for 2 minutes, and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what happened to that guy?
Exactly. Deception. Okay? All of this. Then there's going to be those that are going to rise and say Christ has already come.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So we're now in heaven.
Yeah. This is preterist bliss.
Yeah, 2020 is fine. This is
Oh,
is
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Why would anyone think that
this was anything but heaven?
what we're reading is actually happening? That's not actually it.
I mean, your last 6 months have been nothing but sheer paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the milk and the honey.
Yeah. And then we
2020. 2020, the year of milk and that almost rhymes.
Oh, come on.
Really?
Yeah. And then you got the other end of the spectrum where, oh no, there's nothing that's happened this year that's a sign of his coming. It's way off in the future. Okay, all of this is coming back to your question of why are we talking about stewardship now? Jesus is dealing with all of this stuff. He tells parables about the 10 virgins. 5 wise, 5 foolish. Okay? And really, here's my 10-second summary. When is Jesus coming? Sooner than you think.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Sooner than you think. Why do you say that, Brother McKillop? This is why I say that. Because he said, I'm coming when you don't think I am. Okay? Then you read these examples. The servant in the household started saying, my master has delayed his coming. Delayed his coming. And then you have cases of the 5 wise and the 5 foolish
Sweet.
sleeping when he returns.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, the idea being that for everyone that says we've heard this message for 2,000 years, Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming. He's still going to come sooner than you think. And it is in the midst of that narrative of everything from dealing with rumors of wars and Pharisees and offenses and temples and stones not being left upon each other and all of this stuff, 10 virgins, 5 wise, 5 foolish. It's like he just reaches out and puts pause on it and goes, I want to talk to you about something. There was a master that had a long journey to take, and he looked at his servants and said, I'm going to give you 5, you 2, and you 1. And he starts dealing with stewardship. Right in the middle of apocalyptic events unfolding, he said, we're going to talk about what I'm looking for when I come back.
Yeah. It's like at the end of all those chapters of...
Yeah.
So you don't think they just threw that in there to fill in the page?
I don't think so. When the master returns, he wants us to be stewarding the resources that he's given us. So that's why I think we need to talk about it now. We're having earthquakes, we're having wars and rumors of wars, pestilence, offense. I think we better take the package deal and talk about how we should steward our resources. And that's broader than just finances.
Yeah, you're right.
That's every aspect of life.
They say, your children are your most valuable resource, right?
Boy, that's the truth.
So how
second to your soul.
How are we handling investing our next generation of people?
Yeah.
This is like to get political just for one more second, but this is a real good example of conservatism in the Bible, but yet not to the point where all you do is try to keep what you're given, but real authentic stewardship means you're managing and growing what you have. Right? You're not just talking about clutching on.
Right. It's not just survival.
Yeah.
Not conservatism in the sense of I'm prepared. No, but I'm investing.
Yeah.
I'm investing. So if there's anything, and I think we've kind of danced around this topic a bit in previous episodes, but it's finding the equilibrium between the imminency of the return of Jesus Christ and not living vicariously because we don't think we need to be prepared to be here tomorrow. Right? So it's living for God, like he's coming today and there is no tomorrow. But it's managing our life like we've got 100 tomorrows. And being prepared. And it's that tension of being prepared today to be raptured.
It's the ultimate balancing act.
It is.
Right?
It is. And I think that's why Jesus he wove that into the fabric of what he's getting across when he's describing the days that we're living in.
Right, because it's pertinent at this point in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here. And so we need to be managing our resources well. It really does matter, and it seems like we're kind of bearing down on this, but it really does matter if whether you think Jesus is coming back or not.
Yeah, it's kind of a key Christian concept.
And it's a kingdom principle that if you're going to be the steward that you need to be, it is connected with your eschatological view.
Ooh, that's a big word.
Yeah. There is a intersect between how I manage myself, finances, time, talents, treasures, how I handle all of that intersects with the view that I have on the return of Jesus Christ. So if you look at Luke chapter 12, there's another example that Jesus gives of a servant and a master and the delegation of responsibility, and then the view that servant has of my master is delaying his coming.
Yeah, so you're reading Luke 12.
Yeah.
Why don't we read Luke 12:43? It says, "Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath. But if that servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming."
Now listen, this is not something that, notice that it's not what he gets up and tells everybody he believes.
Yeah.
Even it's those little indicators within where he looks at what's going on and goes, the master's not coming back today. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. He says within his heart, my master has delayed his coming. Notice the connection between when he adopts that mindset, that theological view, if you will. What begins to happen?
And shall begin to beat the men servants and maidens, and to eat and drink and be drunken.
It affects him, man.
That was quick.
Yeah. Like, dude left the rails in a hurry. The moment that he thought the master wasn't coming back, he became a drunken sop that became abusive.
Yeah, he's got a hammer in his hand and everybody looks like a nail.
Yes, totally. Totally.
I don't like the look of you today. Thanks for breakfast.
Yeah. He was delegated to feed the servants. And the moment that he said within himself, my master delayeth his coming,
plenty of time,
he lost any moral equilibrium. And now he's beating the servants that he's supposed to be feeding. He is eating and drinking, becoming drunk. But guess what? The Lord of that servant comes anyway.
Come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he's not aware, and will cut him in sunder, ouch, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And verse 48 is...
Okay, but read your way on down.
And that
verse 47.
And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself.
So he knew, but he didn't prepare.
Neither did according to his will.
Or didn't obey it.
Shall be beaten with many stripes.
Okay, so we have the action and we have the sentence. Okay? Because he knew his Lord's will and did not do it, he is beaten with many stripes. All right, continue.
But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes.
Same action, different sentence. Why? Because he didn't know. So it's what you know that determines the sentence.
Yeesh. I see where this is going.
Yeah. Okay? Because the reason I think we need to work our way into this next statement is we take this out of context. This is in the context of stewardship.
All right.
And this is in the context of a master letting us know what our responsibility is. So
for unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more.
Yeah. So it's real easy to just grab, to whom much is given, much is required. No, but put it into the context of what is being said. This is all about us managing us. in the absence of the master's return, we've got to manage ourselves. And it really starts with what we say within our heart, what we start telling ourselves. Do we think he's coming? There is a connectedness between what we tell ourselves, what we know, and what we do. And ultimately the sentence that is associated with that action.
It really makes the whole perception or thought process of, man, just buy it anyways, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's that same line of thinking, right? Because you don't think there's a direct result or consequence of your action. Whatever. Right.
And if a statement like this can be attached to what you just did or bought, if this statement can be made and he knew better.
Oh boy.
That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Okay. So look at this. Why are we talking about stewardship today? I mean, the world is melting down around us. If we have ever needed people that know how to control themselves and know how to manage finances, know how to manage their feelings, and know how to manage their offenses, and know how to manage their time, and know how to manage their talents, it's right now. It's right now.
These guys that got the talents, there's this statement in here that always jumps out to me, according to their several ability.
Yeah.
So do you think we maybe shouldn't feel so bad for the one talent guy for getting one talent, or also not puff up the 5 talent guy to the point where he's this?
Sure.
That's just what he was.
Yeah. And I think it's critical that we understand that God's not fair. Fair is giving producer Randy 5 and you 5 and me 5. That's fair. God is a steward. So he's just. He's not fair. You can't confuse those two elements. So he is looking at servant A, B, and C, or should it be A, C, B? I got my ACBs all messed up now.
Oh, no.
He looks at servant 1, 2, 3. Let's do that. And he said, I'm going to give you 5, and I'm going to give you 2, and I'm going to give you 1. And our humanistic, carnal approach to that is, well, that's not fair. No, but he gave it based on ability. So that lets us know that before there was ever a delegation of a talent, there was an observation of a servant. The master was looking, and he was watching how that individual was going about his daily life. And he said, I can trust you with 5. And I can trust him with 2. And I can trust this guy with 1. And carnality wants to look at that and become critical of it. And and
inequality.
Well, totally.
Right.
Spread the wealth around. Okay? When the reality... Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but did you know not every planet is the same size? So you're living in an unequal universe. Sorry, just to mess up your day, but just think about that for a second.
Really? Where would you rather live?
How come I don't have the biggest one?
Yeah. Yeah. Biggest is not always best. I'm mighty glad that he put me on Earth and not in Mars, where they're trying to rescue me with a rover.
Yeah, Red Rover. Yeah, so this inequality thing is right.
None of those servants, and I think this element of the story is often overlooked. none of those servants should have had anything. They were servants.
That's an interesting concept, yeah.
You know, there's still
Because it was a hierarchical.
a caste society,
Mhm.
and there are still entire regions of our world that are driven by that society.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't matter how smart you are, how adept you are, you can never move up the rung from being a servant to being a master. That's so foreign to us in North America because the fuel that drives the capitalist
Mhm.
view is that if you can dream it, you can do it. And if you get up early enough in the morning and
Work hard enough.
yep, you can make that a reality.
That's right.
There are places in the world that's not true. Such was the case here. You have got a master who is willing to give and entrust something from one level of a society to the care of someone that is inferior to him. So none of them boys should have had any talents. And when you understand that, you're just happy to have any.
It's like the Christmas bonus, right?
Yeah.
He called him in and said,
Yeah.
"There's something in the bag for you there."
Really, and we don't have time to go into this, but what a depiction of the gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, we have this treasure in an earthen vessel, and there's not a one of us that are worthy of it.
Yeah, we sure don't deserve it.
But the master instilled it in us because he saw something in us. And he buried that treasure in earth. That's why we have what we have.
Mm-hmm.
But the easiest thing to do, back to these guys, is to allow carnality to get in the mix and there to become I'm only a 1-talent guy, and I'm so envious of the 5-talent guy that I just bury what I've got instead of developing what I've got. And it's so easy to become critical of every other servant and even the master. Right? He was critical of the master.
Yeah, very critical. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're just an evil taskmaster. You reap where you didn't plant, and you harvest where you didn't sow. Right?
Famous last words before you're about to lose everything.
Banished to the weeping and wailing and gnashing. Have you ever thought about this? I mean, the response to this egregious ineptness of stewarding what you've been given, he's cast into eternal.
Yeah, he just didn't lose the talent.
No.
He got wrecked. Right?
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And so the easiest, you referenced this earlier, but the easiest thing to do is become critical of success. So the business that is a success, the church that is a success, the ministry that is a success, the individual that is a success, all of a sudden it becomes incumbent upon him to quantify why he's a success.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he just must have more money than what I've got. No, it could be that he's managing better. Right?
God forbid we have some successful people.
Yeah. Yeah. I want successful people in our church. I want successful businessmen. The kingdom needs people that know how to take 2 and make 4. That know how to take 5 and make 10. And you ready for this? Know how to take 1 and make 2.
It's the same.
Listen, yeah. Go ahead. You were going to say it.
It's the same percentage growth.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not about numbers. The church that doubles from 10 and becomes 20 is having the same success as the church that doubles from 100 to become 200.
You're right.
It's about percentages. The kingdom of God is driven by percentages. It's not driven by numbers. That is why tithing is based on a percentage. Doesn't matter if you made $10 last week, you can pay the same percentage of tithes as the guy that made $100,000 last week. Right?
Yes, sir.
That is why Jesus could look at the widow's mite and be more impressed by the percentage that she invested into the kingdom than everybody else that dropped numerically so much more than what she did.
Yeah, he said she's giving way more than you guys. Who do you think you are, dude?
Right. Right. And this is what takes the widow and puts her on the same playing field, plateau, if you will, of the Jeff Bezos of the world. I've said this repeatedly. The folks in our congregation that are on fixed incomes, seniors, what they are giving.
I'll bail you out here for a second.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. The people that are doing more with less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're worth just as much to the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Just as much to the kingdom of God. But the problem is if we're not careful, we think that if we had more, we'd manage better.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So
you would drive Amazon right into the ground.
Oh.
I would go to Amazon.com and it would say page not found.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what would happen if you ran it.
Right. So then we become praying, God, give us more. God, I want more. When really we need to be saying, God, help me manage less better.
Yes.
Because God gives based on his observation of how we're handling what we have. He was watching those servants before he delegated talent. Right? So and this is not just money. There's people in each of our congregations that have got kingdom potential.
That's right.
Not just financial potential, but they've got potential to be the best Sunday school teachers, soul winners, ushers, hospitality. Right?
Everybody has talent.
But if they get the idea that if I can't pastor, I'm not going to do anything. Why would I teach a Bible study if I can't preach on Sunday? Why if I can't be the soloist, why would I be in the choir? Right? If I can't be the head usher, then I'm not going to be anything. And the trickle down effect is massive with this. Everybody has a talent. There's nobody that doesn't have something. We have this treasure in an earthen vessel.
That's inclusive.
You got it.
And that's not inequality.
No.
No.
And here's the thing. The bottom line is, and we get kind of caught up in the delicateness of him removing one talent from the guy that didn't do anything with it and giving it to the guy that done something with his talents. Forget the numbers. Forget the numbers. He took from the guy that didn't do anything and he gave it to the guy that was investing it. And notice, he said, this all unraveled, folks, tying again to the coming. He said, this one talent, I gave you one and you didn't do anything with it. The least you could have done is put it out on the market so that I could have gotten, right? At least what is rightfully mine for it. Here's the phrase, at my coming. So at the return of Christ, he's going to be checking up on things. When the master comes back, we are going to be giving accounts for what we've done with what he gave us.
That's right.
What would happen? What would happen if everybody in every respective church that is represented by whoever's listening to this right now, what would happen if everybody just started doing better with what God gave them? Do we really understand the impact? I'm talking right now in 2020, this climate.
Be better.
If everybody started doing better, what would happen? Do you really think? Here's another question, and this is something that I ponder and that I pray about, and I think it's a great question to ask yourself. Could you really handle God giving you what you're asking him for right now? If he was to answer your prayer and give you what you're asking, could you handle it?
Yeah, that's right. So if God answers your prayer,
could you steward what you're asking for? Here's what Jabez said, and I don't think that this can be overlooked. Jabez said, "Bless me indeed." Great prayer. Bless me indeed. I want to be blessed of God, and I don't think it's wrong to pray that way. But he also coupled that with "and enlarge my coast." That's capacity. So I'm not just asking for a blessing, I'm asking for the ability to manage what I'm asking for. Enlarge me so that when you give me the blessing, I can properly steward it. I want to be able to handle what I'm asking for. I would hate for the blessing that I'm requesting to be something that causes me to lose out with God, something that would cause me to walk away. You got to be able to steward what you're asking God for.
But it's so easy to get caught in that trap of looking at everyone else.
Oh, it is. It is.
Why does everyone else's talent look so appealing? Why am I always much more concerned about them than me? It's human nature, right?
It is, because we always think we would do better with the cards that someone else has dealt. Right? When really we've got to get to the place where we start, maybe we could say it this way: you've got to work with what God gave you instead of just waiting around for what you want.
That's very good. Yeah, very good.
Work what you got. So I want a house. All right, we'll clean the apartment you have. Right? Well, I'll tell you what, I'd certainly take care of a house if I had a house like he's got. And you got to wade through your apartment, and you don't manage what you have, but you think you'll manage what you want. Right? Well, I'll tell you what, if I had a car like that, I'd sure clean it.
No, you wouldn't.
Have you looked at the one you're driving? Yeah. Change the oil in the thing you've got. Or I even take it further. This may be extreme to some people, but I don't abuse a rental car. Now, I know they get abused.
Oh, you know it. I
know they get abused. But if I have the privilege of driving a car that I would like to own sometime, I treat it right. Why? You may think this is crazy, but the master's watching how I'm handling what I've got now, and based on how I handle it, manage it, steward it, determines what he goes, do you know what, if he can handle that, I'm going to give him this.
Do you know something that triggers me?
Oh no, triggered?
Oof, I'm about to get triggered.
You're triggered, okay.
You know what triggers me is somebody that litters.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
You're driving with somebody in the car.
Yeah.
And they just huck their coffee cup out the window. Oh, yeah. Go back and pick that up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not my neighborhood.
Ugh.
Yes.
Then you wonder why you live in a trashy, right?
Go, man. I can tell.
No, I'm done.
Get it off your chest. Go. Come on.
Move on. I almost went back to that cat kicking thing.
Anger issues. Yeah.
No, but that's it, right? Just on another level.
It is.
And then you're going to complain that you live in a trashy neighborhood.
Yeah. I was at a funeral home one time, and I'm standing in the entrance waiting on someone else to get there. It wasn't in the town that I was in, so I didn't know who the funeral director was. I didn't know anything. I'm standing there looking out across the parking lot. It's raining. It's a nasty day.
Good day for a funeral.
Yeah. Isn't that how it typically goes?
Yep.
This car drives in the yard. A very distinguished gentleman gets out. He begins walking across the yard. And as he's almost to the front door, he bends over and picks up a piece of trash off the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at my wife and said, we have just found the owner.
Yes.
And sure enough, that was the funeral director. Why? I didn't know that was the funeral director, besides observing what he was doing, how he was acting, the care that he was expressing. So here's putting myself on trial at this moment, but if I think God's going to trust me to handle 50,000 square feet of new church property,
oh yeah, it's going to happen,
then I better handle the 13,000 square foot auditorium I've got now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just going to magically become someone that can handle that. You demonstrate. If you want more, manage less better.
Yeah, very good. Yes.
You don't just magically get more. You learn how to manage less better, and the master observes you managing less better and goes, man, I can trust this guy. If you can turn 1 into 2, then here's 2. Now turn that into 4.
What a powerful, powerful, powerful concept. It works in everything.
Everything.
It works in everything.
I want to be better. I don't just want to be saved. I want to be better. I want to be better. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better pastor. I want to be a better dad. I want to be able to preach better than what I preach. We want to be able to do a better podcast. We want to be better.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be better. I want to take the talent that we've got, such as it is, and the 5 talent folk may be laughing up their sleeve right now.
Yeah.
But we're working what we've got.
We're trying, guys.
We're working what we've got.
Yep.
And while we do it, we hope the master's watching and going, all right, you've done pretty good with that. Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what he could do with 2.
So what do we manage? And what can we manage better?
And you expect us to talk about this between now and the end?
In the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What are the things that these Kingdom Speak listeners need to look at in their own lives and say, all right, I can do better with that?
For sure, there is way more than what we're going to cover here. But I think there are 3 primary categories that if a child of God can manage these categories properly, that they can win favor with God and probably save themselves a bit of a beating.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah. The stripes thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so I think if we break them down into time, treasures, and talents, not necessarily in that order, but we often, when we think stewardship, we automatically think finances, right? And that's a key element.
We don't think about the clock, do we?
But we don't think about the clock. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. So as the days become more evil, we are on a trajectory towards that. As it was in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. It's not going to get better before he comes back.
No.
The fact that it's getting worse is proof that he's coming back, contrary to whoever would peddle another narrative, okay? Biblically, we know that the days are getting more evil. This demands that we become better stewards of our time. It demands it.
Right, and left in its current condition, it's not saved. You're not saving time.
Right.
If you leave it alone, it's wasted.
So we are to redeem it.
That's right.
That means you are to become the savior to your time. I am to be to my time what Jesus was to my soul.
So it's like original sin even applies to time.
Yeah.
Right.
Except I'm the one that's supposed to be crucified to fix it.
Nail yourself to this one.
Right. What Jesus did to redeem my soul, I've got to do to manage my time.
Very good. Very good.
Okay? everything about the invent of technology robs us of time. Is there value to it? Obviously, we're on it. But is there potential pitfalls with it? You better believe it. You better believe it. I don't think anybody that's listening to us right now would disagree with the fact that if you don't keep it in the forefront of your mind, it's easy to eat away time.
It goes fast, bro.
Social media, news.
Even good stuff.
Yeah. I'm not talking wrong content. That's a discussion for another day. You've got to redeem your time. So the management of time is critical. Let me just throw this concept out. We've talked about tithing as it relates to finances, and we understand that when we tithe on our finances, on our increase, that we are redeeming the 90% of our funds.
That's right.
Right?
The whole becomes blessed.
The whole becomes blessed because we tithe the 10%. The 10% affects the 90.
Right.
And I think we could have a guest list that would just go into infinity that could validate the point that the 90% that we manage goes farther.
Yeah, it goes
because it's redeemed. There is a redemptive quality to the 90% because everywhere that money goes, it's redeemed money. It's kingdom money. What I want to propose today is what would happen if we took that same approach to time. If we begin to tithe time the same way that we tithe finance.
So give 10% of our time to God.
10%. It's my conjecture that the 90% would be affected, the 90% of our time would likely be affected.
You know it.
The same way as the 90% of our funds. So
everybody has the same amount, right?
That's the thing. And we all got the same amount of time. There's nobody that got 26 hours today.
Right. That is equality.
Right.
Yeah.
So if there's any aspect of the discussion of stewardship, the timing one is the equal. Talents vary, funds vary, time constant. So go ahead and do your own. I would just here's a little homework.
Yeah. This is great.
We're supposed to sleep 8 hours a day, they say. So go ahead and give yourself 8 hours to sleep. That'd be nice. Factor in corporate worship, corporate prayer, being in church a couple of times on Sunday, being in church on a midweek service. All right? For our folks, for our local congregation, if they attend everything that's going on in a corporate setting with the Family Worship Center, and they sleep 8 hours a day, that leaves them within reason about a 45-minute window that they need to spend every day to hit the 10%. And I would just challenge you, try it. Try it. See what happens. Spend 10% of your time investing it in your relationship with God, investing it in your prayer time, investing it. There's probably many that are already surpassing it. But if this is challenging you today, try it and see what happens to the remaining 90% of your time.
Yeah, do it for a week.
Yeah. Just try it. So I think we need to steward our time better. We've talked about talents.
Man, just to wrap that up, but that's how often do you hear apostolic content about time management? We don't talk about it a lot, do we?
We don't. I think that we have missed the boat a bit, and this is not to cast any light on previous generations and how they addressed information, but the concern with Hollywood was only one aspect of the argument against television. I think time management was one that's often overlooked.
Mm-hmm. And
that is why I think the position is inconsistent with the advent of technology today.
mm-hmm.
If we don't manage time, we're no better off than...
Yeah, there you go.
You follow me?
I do. And I also...
Not that content doesn't matter, but I think it needs to be a layered approach. It's at least a two-pronged.
Yeah, so if I read my Bible 14 hours a day, that's probably not good time management either, is it?
Yeah, you can go extreme one way or the other. Boy, I prayed for 16 hours today. Okay, how did that pay? Right?
What did your boss at work have to say about
That's
that?
Exactly. That comes back to the adage of they are, how did that go? Heavenly. They're so heavenly minded, they're of no earthly good. Oof. Walking around with their head in the clouds all the time. So it takes balance. Mm-hmm. It takes balance. And we have to manage that. Got to manage finances.
Yeah.
Got to manage finances.
We'll move on now. What's number 3?
Oh, yeah. You want to skip over that? When it comes to managing finances, there is... We just don't have time to break it all down.
We don't have time because we care about your time, fellow listeners.
The management of time is affecting our ability to talk about the management of money.
That's right.
So, suffice it to say that where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So you invest with where you want your heart to go.
Exactly.
If you're worried about, boy, I don't want to backslide. I don't want to walk away from God. I don't want to, then go ahead and invest in the kingdom of God. The safest thing to do is put your money where you want your heart to be.
Mm-hmm.
And where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
It's like a law.
It is. We've heard it. You actually referenced it last week, but there are folks that have told me when I was offended and when I was confused and when I didn't know which way was up, I literally got through the hell that I was going through by giving my way through it. And I would just go ahead and put a little more money in the offering. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's what got me through it. That's quite a concept. I've had people look at me and say, Pastor, I just want to give you a little, not tithing, not anything, just a gift. Mm-hmm. Because I don't ever want anything to come between you and I. This is not a sideways request for gifts. I'm just telling you that for them, they wanted to tie our hearts together. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Boy, the haters will love.
That would be a good
clipping.
Spot to cut there.
That would
cut
be a
right
good
there and post
clip.
that.
Yes, absolutely.
But it also works if they're not going to clip that. Let's talk about this just real quickly again. It works in building relationships. If you want to build a relationship with someone, if you want your heart in it,
you buy her roses.
Yeah. Right? Or if you ever wonder why nobody at work even thinks you're decent, maybe you should buy them a coffee.
Yeah.
Instead of asking them if they have money for coffee.
Right. The heart runs on the rails of what you invest in.
This is how, you build relationships before you ever ask them for something.
Right.
And it works for finances.
It totally does. So let me just give this as a and we got to move. How are we doing with time?
We're good.
We're doing good with time.
We could spend another 10 minutes.
Okay. So here's maybe a filter.
This is gonna hurt. I'm gonna turn on some Hurt Zone music.
Hurt Zone music.
Yeah, okay. I'm just warning you. This is gonna soothe, but get ready. Okay, go for it.
So when you are looking at that item and you're trying to decide whether or not it's for you.
Yeah.
Here is the filter that you can run it through.
Yeah, this hurts.
The first thing to do
Yeah.
is pick up the price tag. Okay? The whole price tag, not the payment plan. Has anybody ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't even get the price of something. I was in Cabela's. Is that the one that's now? Which one bought? Bass Pro. Now
Bass
is it?
Pro. They make
Bass-
those nice hats.
Oh, that's a discussion for another day. Where's your hat? The dunce cap.
Pastor McKillop loves those hats, if anybody's wondering.
Yes. You know the one. Fishnet back. Styrofoam front. Oval fish coming out. Yeah, you got it.
Tremendous quality.
So,
Back to the zone. Here.
I'm walking by a pontoon boat because sometime in my future,
Mm-hmm.
I see a pontoon boat.
Boy, I just felt that.
Did you? Good. What is the price? $984. Well, I'll take two. Until you realize that's the payment. You can't even get a price for the thing anymore.
Bro, they're doing it in like suit shops. You can't get a price on anything.
Yeah.
You got to dig to get a price tag.
There's payment plans for everything. So when I say pick up the price tag, I'm not saying the payment.
Right.
I'm saying the actual price. And then you have to sit and look and say, can I afford that? This is the first filter of stewardship.
Step one. Can I afford it?
And here's a big deal. If it's going to take all of your money, you can't afford it.
Because you probably should have some money to do other stuff.
Yeah. You should operate off of these percentages, right? There's a certain percentage that you should save.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's going to take all my money, I can't afford it. And the Bible's full of biblical examples of this. He is foolish who spendeth it all. Mm-hmm. The wise man, he stores up the treasures. He's foolish if he spends it all. So if it's going to cost you everything you've got, you can't afford it. That's a good filter. We're not even beginning to talk debt load here.
Like I said, yeah, this is going to hurt. So
we're talking, can you afford it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Are you saying you never have debt? No, we're going to have another discussion about that. According to Justin Trudeau, the percentage rates right now, the interest rates are just great.
It's the ideal conditions to
spend.
Yeah,
just spend. The second filter, after you've determined whether or not can I afford it,
back to the zone, keep going,
is this. Can you handle it?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can afford it doesn't mean you can handle it.
But I need it.
Yeah. Let me just say this. There's some gifts you can't afford or you can't handle.
Yeah.
If someone came and gifted me a 747 right now, that'd be great. Yeah. Here's the terms. You can't sell it. You can use it. It's yours. I couldn't get the thing off the ground. Literally, a gift can be more than what you can handle. Mm-hmm. Stewardship would go, we're not selling the house, the car, the pontoon boat to get enough fuel to take one trip in the 747. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So can you handle it becomes the second filter. Mm-hmm. What I mean by handle it doesn't just mean can you afford to keep it running. It's also can you handle it from a time perspective.
Yeah.
So you determined whether or not the money was there, but can you handle it from a timing perspective? So I've determined I can afford the pontoon boat, and I can't. That's why I don't have it. But now, if it keeps me fishing every day, all day long.
Yeah. Where's Dad?
Yeah. Then I'm demonstrating that I could handle the price tag, but I can't handle the time management. Do you understand how stewardship becomes multi-dimensional?
Yeah, it's cross.
Yeah.
One affects the other.
Right. I'm sure people have seen folks that for all intents and purposes could handle the price tag, but then it began to pull them away from their purpose because they couldn't handle the time management. And I think the third one would be if I can afford it, dollars and cents wise, and I can handle it, can I utilize it? How can I use it? Now, I understand there's certain things that we buy. We've talked about pontoon boats or whatever it is, your golf clubs, your Traeger grill, whatever.
Yeah.
There's certain elements of everything. God's not against enjoyment. He wants us to enjoy what we have. But at some point, we need to measure. We're stewarding, right?
That's right.
What degree of this can I utilize for the kingdom? Can I utilize it for the further development of my talent? Can I utilize it for becoming what he has invested and what God sees me becoming? And I think if we start running all of our purchases through, can I afford it? Can I handle it? Can I utilize it?
Well, that's very good.
We'll probably do a bit better stewarding. And when he comes back, we might save ourselves a beating.
Save a stripe.
For sure, I want to save the fact that I don't want to spend eternity with weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd rather hear, good job, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of thy master.
So salvation is really all about stewardship.
The bridge is there. This is why Jesus talked more about money than he did any other topic.
Because it's such a closely connected, and I'm sure it resonated. If somebody was walking by and heard a guy giving a lecture about money, that pulled them in, right?
Sure.
And then he just kind of started applying those principles to the spiritual.
Right.
It's like, oh, that actually lines up.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Listen, if someone comes to church that doesn't care about embettering themselves in the natural, they probably will never care about striving to embetter themselves supernaturally. There's a connection there. He wants us to prosper as our soul
exactly
prospers.
That's right.
So this is not prosperity doctrine. This is not trying to stitch something together with fragmented pieces to come up with a mosaic that benefits the kingdom of God. No. Jesus explicitly deals with it over and over again. So Luke 16, he says you need to make friends with mammon. I'll be the first to admit I don't have my head wrapped around the entirety of everything that he discusses there, but let's just highlight this portion.
So let's start Luke 16:10.
Yeah.
He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much.
Yes.
And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much.
Yes.
If therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches?
That is the bridge. So, in other words, he's letting them know, I'm watching how you handle mammon,
right?
Money.
Yep.
And if you do it right, I think you'll be able to handle true riches, which is not Swiss bank accounts.
No, that's like another level.
That's spiritual. That's true kingdom riches. If you can handle this, I know I can trust you with this. This is faith. This is the weightier. He spoke to the Pharisees about it and said, you've ignored the weightier matters of the law. You tithe. You tithe.
You got the money side.
But matters of justice and mercy and faith, you're mismanaging that. Okay? So we're docking on one side in bank accounts, but we're docking on the other side in eternal riches, true riches.
So good.
So he leaves this discussion, and I understand we're massaging our 10 minutes, so let's just go.
Luke
Chapter 17, he starts by saying offenses are going to come.
That's right.
Chapter 16, he's dealing with mammon. Chapter 17, he begins dealing with true riches. You're going to be offended. Now, woe by whom the offense comes. He's got to learn how to swim with lead boots.
Yeah.
Millstone hung around the neck, cast into the sea. But to us, they're coming.
If thy brother trespass against thee,
Uh,
rebuke him. And if he repent, forgive him.
yeah.
And if he trespass against thee 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day turn again unto thee and say, I repent,
Yeah.
thou shalt forgive him.
And they really got off easy because there's other accounts of him saying 70 times 7.
Yeah.
Okay, read.
And the apostles said unto the Lord, increase our faith. And the Lord said, if ye had faith as of a grain of mustard seed,
Yeah.
ye might say unto this sycamore tree, be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it should obey you.
Yes. Yes.
So you don't need more.
Okay. Now, reflect on what we just read from the context of the statement. He's talking about stewardship,
Yeah, that's right.
being a steward. So, chapter 16, you need to be a better steward of mammon.
Mm-hmm.
But over here, he said, if you're going to keep your faith from being shipwrecked, you're going to have to learn how to steward it. You think that you're so offended that you need more faith to forgive. He runs to the opposite end of increase our faith,
That's right.
picks arguably the smallest form of measurement, and picks up a grain, not grains, but a grain of mustard seed, and says this, you can use this
That's right.
to deal with that.
Got plenty.
If you're going to keep yourself from dying an offended, bitter,
Unforgiving.
unforgiving person, if you're going to keep yourself from backsliding with a rottenness in your soul, you've got to learn how to use the least amount of faith to get the maximum amount of results.
Oof.
You have got to learn to manage it. You don't need more. You need to manage what you've got better. Well, if I had more faith, I could forgive. No, use what you've got better. It's back to the money. If I had more money, I'd manage more better. No, manage less better. He's watching how you're managing less. Okay? So I'll get more faith if I can handle offense and deal with forgiveness with using up the least amount of the currency of my faith that it takes. Here's my submission to you. By reason of this right here, it takes less faith to forgive than it does to continue your walk with God in unforgiveness. You will spend more faith trying to keep your walk with God upright and not forgiving
Wow. What a concept.
than you will if you just say, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive you.
Yeah, it seems like a much easier life, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Maybe we can end this whole deal with and this is all stewardship, right? This is all stewardship. But man, backsliding is one of the greatest wastes of substance that exists. The prodigal left, I think you said this the other day, and his wallet was fat.
Yeah, you had a lot.
There was no lack of substance. But he wasted his substance in riotous living. What a waste. It's not a wise investment to walk out on God. I don't care how offended you are. I don't care what they've done about you, to you, said about you. Forgive them. You can do it with just a grain of faith, and you can speak to that tree, uproot it, cast it into the sea. Forgiveness is not putting your approval on what they did. Well, what about the guy that did it to me? Don't worry about that. God's going to deal with him. He already said, woe unto him by whom the offense comes. He's going into the sea anyway.
Yep.
With a millstone hung around his neck. So don't use your faith trying to get back at him. Use your faith uprooting the sycamore tree. Use your faith to cast that mountain into the sea. God's going to deal with the guy that done the offense. So from bank accounts to offenses to managing our faith, being a steward is what we've got to be. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can do a little better at that than what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be better.
Well, that was definitely not a waste of your time if you listened throughout that entire podcast. What an inspiration today and a challenge to be better. So guess what? We want to be better. So that means more ratings and more reviews from you fine listeners. Gotcha again.
Yes.
I always do that this time in the podcast, don't I? So whether you're joining us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you're on our YouTube channel, all of you, your ratings and reviews matter, comments, all of that stuff. So thank you for everything you're doing to keep us up.
Hey, can I throw something in here?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Let me, I'm pulling it up on social media, but I want to give a shout out to a listener.
Do it.
I want to give a shout out to a listener. I got this message from Sister Azar in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Jana faithfully listens to every one of your episodes.
Cool.
So, Jana, we love you.
Yes, we certainly do. Thanks for being a part of the Kingdom Speak family. We have some awesome episodes in the pipe, so you don't want to miss the next episode. Thanks again for joining us on Kingdom Speak with Pastor Daniel McCullough. We'll see you again soon.